realization of force in nature by an observing ego operator. Ego determined as the sum of atoms, which seeks self-perenity. To do so, it develops a nervous system representation of the subset of atoms and can tag it and manipulate it symbolically. The ego exists as a neural representation of the body in the brain. The ego itself emerges as a brain representation when a group of atoms observes itself as a unit that differentiates form and defines its form as one. It then seeks perenity of the abstract form as a unit, a body. The atoms in my right middle finger and my right palm do not have a notion of pertaining to a hand, much less the right hand. The brain and only the brain does possess that representation as a neural representation of the body in the brain. The ego itself emerges as a brain representation when a group of atoms observes itself as a unit that differentiates form and defines its form as one. It then seeks perenity of the abstract form as a unit, a body. The atoms in my right middle finger and my right palm do not have a notion of pertaining to a hand, much less the right hand. The brain and only the brain does possess the ego exists as a neural representation of the body in the brain. The ego itself emerges as a brain representation when a group of atoms observes itself as a unit that differentiates form and defines its form as one. It then seeks perenity of the abstract form as a unit, a body. The atoms in my right middle finger and my right palm do not have a notion of pertaining to a hand, much less the right hand. The brain and only the brain does possess that representation. The will to escape the predator represents such an impulse by a group of atoms forming the body for self-preservation. We experience will as a decision to create a force coming from the notion of self and as a derivative self-preservation. The presence of chaotic dynamics at the layer of QM gives us an escape route from the mathematical and philosophical straitjacket of determinism. The fate of all living things does not flow deterministically from the dawn of time. Self-determination marks the emergence of that magic. QM gives us the chaotic wiggle room necessary for matter to set its path, and therefore its evolution, with self-determination. We experience our freedom of choice as a semi-axiomatic reality. Hashcodes _11_4 on the necessity of ego as abstract representation of atoms. We do not ascribe all to the high magic domain, although magic says the ego can channel multiple worlds, different from it of the physical ego. The self must react to random chaotic events, threatening its whole, and can impart orders that implement said or protecting said self. The ego represents an abstract group of atoms and it creates force manifestation of ego and thus self-preservation. We understand the ego as the existence of a mental representation of physical boundaries. The ego represents an abstract group of atoms and it creates force manifestation of ego and thus the ego represents an abstract group of atoms and it creates force manifestation of ego and thus self-preservation. We understand the ego as the existence of a mental representation of physical boundaries. The ego represents an abstract group of atoms and it creates force manifestation of ego and thus self-preservation. Ego represents an abstract group of atoms and it creates force manifestation of ego and thus self-preservation. We understand manifesting as the existence of a mental representation of physical boundaries. The body represents such a group of the nervous system informs the brain of the danger and feeds electrical signals.